It is our quality time interview on Canned Sports Chatter, an opportunity to spend a little extra time with our next guest. And that guest is Mark Sandbo. He's the head coach of the Salina Central High School football team. Fresh off that state championship. Congratulations, coach. Appreciate you coming on the show. Like, what is that post state championship feeling like? Like, what have the last few days been like for you?
Oh, immediately it's every emotion you can imagine. There's a lot of excitement. There's a lot of pride. There's a lot of joy. I would say as the days start to progress, you kind of think about those 18 seniors and you start reflecting that you're not going to have those guys anymore. But again, the imprint they've made on our program, our community, our school. That pride and that joy outweighs any type of somberness of losing those guys, even though they're going to be extremely tough to replace.
You look up at the clock, it reads zeros. You've won a state championship. What was your first reaction, that immediate the impact for you?
Honestly, I was looking at the guys. They were so excited. They deserved every bit of it. Man, they played so well down the stretch. They believed in what we were doing. They trusted our staff. I kind of I compared it. I said after the Great Bend game, I felt like an 8-year-old at Christmas. I would say the feeling I felt like after the state championship is when you give that really good gift to somebody, and you just see their excitement. That's kind of how I felt for our staff, and for our kids and our community. When you look back at the stadium, you look back at those visiting stands at Emporia State, man, it was elated with emotion, and it was packed and it was loud. It was just a great feeling for everybody. But I was most excited for our kids and our staff. They did such a good job, and they executed and against adversity. Their backs were against the wall, and they absolutely responded.
I like that you mentioned that, the community, because like when I think about like any team, any sport that wins a state championship, it's great for the players, it's great for the coaches, but man, like the impact that it has on a community, and especially like one in Salina, like you talk about legacy, and like that's going to be there forever. That's got to be a cool feeling for the community.
Oh, man, they love football here. It's the big dog, and there's a lot of pride in it. And we talk about wearing the maroon and white and representing Salina Central and the tradition with it and the pressure that comes with it. But we follow that up with that pressure is a privilege, and how are you going to hold that standard? And I would say 18 seniors and the 2025 team definitely held the standard. They're one of 7 teams that have won a state championship here, with absolutely memorable stories and games and tradition. For them to imprint their legacy like that, I'm so proud of them.
Well, you mentioned that 2005 team, the last one, the won a state championship there at Central. Like, was anyone around from that 2005 team that reached out to you guys or your players?
Oh yeah, we got people around. And when you talk about the community, it's amazing how everybody comes out. You have graduates from the year 2000, from 1995, from before it was Salina Central, 1968. Just prideful in what's going on and aware. And we had a number of people. Jake Sharp's still around. He's always around the program. The kids know who he is and know what he's about. And for us to add another one, words cannot express how we're still feeling.
Well, you look at even at your run going back to the quarterfinals. I mean, to have to face the in town rival in South, like I mean, that was just a spectacular run. I mean, especially that matchup you guys were able to pull away, later in that game. But having to play South in the quarterfinals had to been a weird feeling in the playoffs as well.
Oh, it was awesome. Our we don't cheer for South too often, and I think they would say the same thing. But we were cheering for them against Liberal. They're a really good football team. It didn't matter who we had in that round. Like, we were going to play a good football team, and we knew we were going to play a great football team in the following round and a great football team in the state championship. But we understood, what that game could mean to the community, what that could mean for our kids. I've heard anywhere from the numbers from 8,500 to 10,000 at the game. I guess the viewing numbers were 18,000 viewed. It was an electric environment, and that's what I was rooting for. I thought our kids deserved an opportunity, and so did theirs. What they did in those 2 games prior, I thought both programs deserve an opportunity to play in that old Central South environment. And the Mayor's Cup is big, and it's been big since I've been here. but it's never been like that. There was a lot on the line, and I think it says a lot about our kids to be able to respond like they did, because there was pressure on them. And our message all week was, that's a privilege. Like, we want that pressure. How are you going to respond to it? And they responded well. We had 3 possessions in the first half. We scored on 2 of them. We shot ourselves not in the foot once, but twice on the other one. And then the second half to be able to score 35 and just trust in what we were doing. We responded better defensively. We made some tweaks. And then we just harped on the guys, hey, do what you've been coached to do, and good things are going to happen. And that's what happened. And that was kind of the same message in the state championship game. We told them, hey, if we go back to August, we say we're down 14-10 in the state championship game, are we going to take it? And, I think anybody's response in the state would be like, yeah, it's 14-10 in the state championship. We're taking that. Let's see what we do with it. And they responded in the second half with 41 points and 5 turnovers.
Impressive, really impressive numbers. Mark Sandbo, head coach of Salina Central, joining us. All right, that state semifinal game in Great Bend. Now, I want to go to one specific play. That was the fourth down. I think it was 4th and 3 or 4th and 4, and you guys had it in Great Bend territory, and there's under a minute to go. You get that first down, you almost seal the win, right? Because they're out of timeouts. Otherwise, Great Bend's offense gets a chance to go win it in a close game. What was going through your head when trying to figure out the right play call and eventually settling on that got the go-ahead touchdown, or the ceiling touchdown, I guess?
Yeah, I think you think about those play calls, throughout the week. What do you do in this situation? And that was in our back pocket. Griffin did a great job of selling it. The issue, Jesus was the one that was running. He's a defensive star for us. Noah tweaked his ankle a little bit, so he couldn't be in there, but Jesus didn't miss a beat. And we called it. We told our Y, hey, we're going to leak out there. We thought their safety was being super aggressive, as he should have been. What a stud Ian Premer is, to be able to play in the box at 4.5 yards and be the deep third player, which he was through most of the game. When we dropped back and he saw high hat, man, he covered a lot of ground. But I think everybody in the stadium thought we were going to run it one more time. We were trying to get a hat on a hat for where we wanted to go. Griffin sold it like he needed to, raised up and threw a strike to Jesus. The only thing I wish I would have said to Jesus, and I think our offensive guys knew it situationally, was when we get a first down, we're going to go down and we're going to run this clock out. But Jesus, being a defensive guy, being a guy that deserves to get in the end zone every once in a while, saw that red and black end zone and took off to it. And then that kick became huge. And I asked our holder, Griffin, who's our quarterback, I go, did you say anything to Ducks about it? And he's like, no, I wasn't going to tell him the moment of it. And I was like, good decision. And that's the type of IQ that our quarterback has. And then they executed, which is what they did all game. When a big moment, and that was a big moment, when a big moment presented itself, they executed and they made the most of it. And that's what it was going to take to beat a team like that, because that was a sensational Great Bend team. And one that you could argue is the best team that they've ever had. And for our kids to go down in an environment like that, a lot of hostility, which we like. I mean, again, that's a good pressure, and to execute like they did, and to put a game together like anybody watching is going to enjoy that. Whether you're in North Dakota or you're in Great Bend, Kansas, and you couldn't get the game, you turn it on. Like, that's a good high school football game, and we're awfully proud to be a part of it, and glad we won.
Yeah, exactly. You get that win, then you get ready for that state championship game against Baser Linwood. What's the hoopla like, before a state championship? What was that week like? And just, I don't want to say there's pressure like you mentioned, but just all the craziness of being in a state championship game.
Yeah, you always worry after those games, even the South game, there's emotional highs, and how are you going to respond? And I think you credit our staff, and I think you credit those seniors with a mature response, how they responded in the Great Bend game. And then there's an emotional high after that. How are you going to respond in the state championship game? One of the things I was surprised about is just how busy it is. We had our banquet that following Monday after the state championship game. We had planned that. We're normally about mid-November, even when we're playing. But this year we just pushed it back a little bit for whatever reason. But I thought, Thanksgiving, that'll be no problem. I'll have time to concentrate on the banquet for a couple hours at a time here and there, and then I'll be all football But it's amazing how busy that week is, and the banquet definitely got pushed to the back burner until after the state championship. And I just remember reflecting, like, that was a bad idea to have it December 1st. But I'm glad it worked out. Our staff had our kids prepared. Our kids were locked in. It was a great break of practice for our kids. It was normalcy. It was what we've done. The only change in pace was our Thanksgiving practice in the morning, but that was a normal Thursday for us. And we really enjoyed the Friday game. We thought that was pretty systematic for us. And then our kids obviously doing what they did come Friday at 2 p.m.
You go back, I mean, your only blemish on the season, that week 7 loss to Andover. And then, like, to me, like, as you know, like an outsider, like, you know, a loss at that point of the season, you can sometimes, for some teams, can go one of two ways, right? Like, yeah, at that point of the year, you're getting ready for playoffs, and maybe it's a refocus, or hey, you can recalibrate a little bit, or it kind of maybe, you know, some doubt creeps in at that point of the season. Like, what did that loss do for you? And obviously you guys responded well, but what was the response like at the time after that loss?
Really good, really good. And again, that's in program leadership right there. When you got 18 really good seniors, you expect that response to be positive, and it was. And our staff, we knew what we didn't do as well. And a tip of the cap to Andover, they did some things really well. They're a really well coached team. They're a tough out. Like, we knew that South Andover matchup was going to be nasty for both teams. Andover's a really good football team. But, we tell our kids all the time, when you lose, don't lose the lesson. And there was a lot of lessons to be learned from that game. And a credit to our coaches for seeing what we need to improve on, what we did well against them, and elevating that. And then, I think you saw the response the next 7 games of what we were able to do. And I think we are a much better football team after we learned the lessons from that Andover game.
Well, are the guys already picking out rings? Are they looking for their favorite ring styles or
Oh,
what?
oh yeah, they're really excited. They're talking about what comes next, and the shirts are getting printed out. The rings are being discussed, but that's what they deserve. When you win a 5A state championship, and you do it against teams like you had to go through, and a well coached, very similar. I would compare Bayshore very similar to us. Great Bend, South, Goddard. I mean, we ran a gauntlet. There's some really, really good football teams that we played all year. They definitely deserve to reap those rewards, and they're going to.
Coach, appreciate the time, and congratulations again.
Hey, Cole, I appreciate you having me. Means a lot. Thanks for the coverage all year.
That is Mark Sandbo, head coach of the Salina Central football team, with our Quality Time interview.